best day about working for WVJC because we get to see all of our graduates' hard work pay off in a graduation ceremony, surrounded by all their family and friends.
Graduation day.
I'm just getting myself graduated.
I drove 7 hours to come to graduation today.
Having our graduation stuff.
Good evening and welcome to this great ceremony. I'm honored to be here in front of you and be able to speak to the students and to the visitors here this evening to celebrate this evening. When they asked me to speak, they said, hey, you can speak for about 10 minutes or so. I said, well, class is usually about an hour and 50 minutes, so we'll do our best to stay between 10 minutes and an hour and 50 minutes. We get you out of here so we're not right now. But, when I'm asked to speak to students, and as students will probably tell you, sometimes some teachers tend to waver from the curriculum a little bit and might talk about other things as well.
Like working out?
Like working out or life in general. And give you some different advice. Education goes beyond the curriculum, right? In academia, there's something called the last lecture. And it's hypothetically, if you as a professor knew that you were going to die, what would you tell your students in your last lecture to them? And it probably wouldn't be about curriculum. But before I get into what would I tell students on their way out of education, or if I was never going to be able to speak to them again, besides curriculum, that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Besides that, what would I tell you? Well, I have a few things written down. I don't write speeches. You know me, I'll come right off the hip. This is what scares Michelle to death. Like, oh, you're going to go over and start talking and everything in trouble. But I got a list made from the little hanging note thing from the refrigerator. And I have a list of what I would tell you. The first one is this. And these are things that I do personally. But it's about your education that you've just earned and you're about to recognize this. What you really need to do is embrace your education and recognize it for what it really is. What you have this evening is one of the few things in your life that someone cannot take away from you. If you really think about it in your life. There's so many things that people can take away from you. They can take your money, they can take your car, they can take your house, they can take your job, they can take your spouse, they can try to take your kids. But they can never take your education. And that education is your power to wake up the next day and restart yourself. It's your power to wake up the next day and improve yourself. It's your power to change your life day after day. And no one can ever take that away from you. And you need to recognize that that's what you have. You don't just have a degree, all right? You have a weapon for the rest of your life in order to build upon and move on and get over any type of obstacle that is thrown your way. So I would challenge you to view your education in that manner. It's a lot more than just a degree. It's a lot more than just time in a classroom and achievement of courses. It is your weapon. And I encourage you to use it to the best of your ability and not be satisfied. Be happy, but not satisfied. There's always room to grow. There's always ways to improve. And that leads into my second statement, which is, and you've heard it from Bill Gates or whoever, but life's not fair. And it's really not. In all kinds of different ways, right? I wish I was 6'4" with a full head of blonde hair. I don't have that. I am proof that God has a sense of humor. But it can be anything. It can be your route to your education, the struggles that you had to go through. Everybody here has their own story, right? Getting to where you are at right now tonight has been a lot more difficult for some students compared to others. Those of you in the audience, I know you can sit there and relate to your journey in life. Sometimes, you know the obstacles you've been through. Life is not fair. But here's the way you need to tackle that, okay? Is that no matter what you do, you are always going to get experience. All right? When you look at opportunities that don't quite work out the way that you want them to, or they're a lot more difficult than what you expected them to be. I always say that experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. And so there's nothing about your journey that wasn't meant for you. You hear all these slogans, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger and this and that. A lot of that is true, right? So keep that in your mind as you go on, that you're going to have situations in your life where you fail. But you have to be able to recoup, and you have to be able to move on from it. Use the experience to make yourself better. And always remember, you've got that education in your back pocket in order to use as a weapon to get you where you need to go. In my position, in my career, I have the opportunity to interview a lot of people for jobs. And whether I sit on committees or I'm hiring them to work with me or whatever, I always have a question that I ask them that pertains to this. And here's the question I always ask. I always say, tell me an opportunity or a situation in your life where you planned for it, you prepared for it, and you really did everything in your power in order to make this, whatever it was, happen. And you knew it was going to work. But when you executed it, it failed. Maybe failed miserably. Tell me about that situation in your life, and how did you use that failure to improve yourself? And the worst answer someone can come up with is, well, I can't think of anything. I'm just perfect. Everything I've done has worked out. That's what I'm going to do for you. I won't make mistakes. Now, we don't hire perfect because it doesn't exist. Again, how have you used your experience, good and bad, in order to make yourself better? Because that's what we need on our team, is not only people that can excel, but people that can learn from their mistakes. I encourage you to do the same. Pay very close attention to the people you give your time to. I always say that show me your 5 closest friends. I'm not talking about acquaintances, people you say hi to on the street, whatever. Your 5 closest people. And this goes to anybody here in the audience, not just the students. What do they like? What do they value? What's important to them? Because I will guarantee you, that's what you value, and that's what's important to you. If you hang around a bunch of people, and studying is important, and making good grades is important, and getting all the clinical time that you can is important, and trying to pass the TEAS test to get to nursing school is important, and sacrificing these things to get to it, you're going to do the same. Or you're going to drop out and find other people who have the same likes as you. But you need to make sure as you go through life, you find those right people to stick around. You need to find those people that are going to push you. You need to find those people that are going to challenge you. You need to find those people that you want to be. Do not ever be the brightest, smartest in the room. If you are, you will never move forward. Always have people around you that are better than you. Sometimes it's hard for egos. But I challenge you again, as my words to you in this last lecture, is to throw that to the side and learn from people. You better get yourself surrounded by people who are going to challenge you and expect things from you. Okay? That's the number 4 or 5 on the list, whichever one it is. The other one is when you are speaking to someone, communicating with someone, listen to understand. Don't just listen, let it go in one ear and out the other. But when you are actually giving your attention to someone, listen to understand what they are saying. It's going to help you learn about that person. It's going to help you learn something from them. And it's going to help you learn to be a better communicator. But also in life, as you listen to understand, keep yourself to listening more often than you talk. You learn a lot more, and you keep yourself out of a lot of trouble.